In our video today, we're actually going to create a prototyping board for our Arduino setups. So you can see here we have our Uno boards and our Mega boards. Really what we're trying to do is just create a setup to where we can prototype freely, either with the Uno board or the Mega board. We kind of want the breadboard to be in the middle. We want our LCD mounted on the outside. We want our servo, and we want a DC motor. There are probably other things we should put in there, but those are the things we're going to focus on. So right here you can see there is a link. If you type that in, you can go to that folder and you can download the files you need. Here are the files you're going to end up downloading from that directory. You're going to get the LCD screen, the Mega board, the servo motor, the DC motor, the Uno board, and the breadboard. So you're going to get 6 files. You're going to download those. Essentially what you're going to do is you're going to create this file you see over here on the right. Okay, this is really what we're looking for. This is what it'll end up being. Now, a lot of people will ask, do I need to include the parts? I don't see why you wouldn't, because you're probably going to use those anyway to do some projecting of geometry. All right, so here are some of the constraints. You do need to make sure that both the Arduino boards are raised up a little bit, 1/4 of an inch, because we need air to pass underneath there. The DC motor needs to be at least 1 inch high and can be glued to your board. So right here's where the motor's going to go for me. Have to have a recessed cavity for the servo motor. So right here is where the servo is actually going to go down in there, and it's also going to be glued. And the LCD screen is actually going to be bolted. So if I'm looking now, I'm thinking, all right, both the Uno board and the Mega board are going to be bolted, and so is the LCD screen. And then the breadboard itself, so this white piece here, that's the breadboard. That's just peel and stick. So in other words, it's going to be glued as well. So bolted, 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 and then glue, glue, glue. Now it's important to say for the LCD screen, I've only used 3 bolts in mine. I don't think we need to use all 4. However, we do need to make sure that the pins in the back have airflow. All right, so let's take a brief look here. All right, so I'm giving you a rundown of what I've previously created. What I'm going to do is actually turn off the boards and everything, just so we can see the bare actual board. So I just turned off the servo. I'm going to turn off the DC motor, turn off the breadboard. Here comes one of the Arduinos and then another one, and then the LCD. This is actually what we are creating, okay? So I'm going to turn those back on. So that's what we've got. I'm going to go ahead and go to New Design. And before I do anything, I'm going to save it. I'm actually just going to call it base. Now I'm going to go ahead and drag the biggest component over. So here's that big breadboard. Drag it over. There it is. I'll hit OK. And I'm going to rotate it because I want to kind of draw on the back of it. It's easier for me to see on that. And I'm going to say new component, and I am going to call this one the base. And I'll just hit sketch. Okay, so I know that that's the biggest piece, so I'm going to draw a box around it. So probably start here and go this way a little bit. I think what I'm going to try to do is keep it squared up. So I'll say 7, and I'll tab over and hit 7 again, and hit finish sketch. So I will go ahead and extrude the whole thing, and I'll even come and click this piece. I think I'll make it 0.25 thick, and I'll hit OK. So right now I've got it on there. But remember, I want that to be like a recessed spot for it. So I'm going to go back here to new sketch on top of this. I think I'm just going to use another rectangle and just kind of draw what I see. I know it's peel and stick, so I'm just going to leave a cavity for it. Before I get going too gung-ho though, I remembered when I said this, I'm going to activate the whole thing. I kind of wanted this piece to be in the middle. Remember that? So I know that I'm not going to use the whole thing. So what I am going to do is I'm going to just kind of rotate it and place some temporary joints on it. So I'll say, give me a joint. Let's make that just right now to the center. And I think I'll scoot it this way some. And I'll go ahead and hit OK. Now I know that I'm going to have a few things over here and a couple of things over here. I'll probably have the Arduinos over here and the motor and everything else over there. So I'm going to go ahead and get back into this base now. And I'll go to sketch. And I think I'm going to draw just a rectangle around here. And I just want one that's going to fit the the breadboard. So I'm going to go ahead and extrude that now. I think for helpfulness, I'll turn the breadboard off. And I'll say, you know what, let's make that recess like half of it. So negative 0.125. When I go back out, I can see that it did it. Okay, if I needed to, I could come back in here to joints and I could edit this rigid joint. I could make it go down a little bit further now, but I really don't need to do that. I've already done what I need to do there. I've got the space for it. So now let's take it a step further. Let's bring over those Arduino boards. Let's bring over let's bring over the Uno. So here's the Uno board coming up. Right now, I just kind of want to place the thing. So I'm going to actually just drag it over here way out of the way because I know I'm going to use it later. And I think I'll go to joints and I'm going to kind of try to find the center of this thing. So the center of the board. And let's find over here somewhere. We'll put it on the same spot and I'm going to rotate this. And I'll bring it out this way and push it back this way. I do kind of want that to hang off the board a little bit. Now I do want to also try to maximize space. So I'm going to kind of square up and say, all right, let's take it this way some. Maybe not off the board that much. That ought to play fine. Okay. Now one thing, I was already told by those constraints that it needs to be at least a 1/4 inch up in the air. So I can go ahead and set that here. All right. Now remember, the 1/4 inch is really all about trying to make sure we can get airflow underneath there. Now, obviously, I can't defy the laws of physics, so I'm going to need to create some sort of way to fasten that, right? So I'll go back here. I've activated the base. Okay, I'm going to go to sketch. And I already have holes here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to create and project again. So create, project, and project again. Notice I could just press the P key. Okay, so I'm going to click this circle, this circle, this circle, and this circle because those are the holes. And I'll click OK over here on project. So let's look and see what we got. Look at that. It put those holes down there for me. I put the circles down. What I'm going to do is go ahead and turn this little breadboard off. So I'm down here. I'm going to turn it off. Now, right now, all I've done, though, is just put the hole in there. Okay, I need to actually beef that up if I'm going to 3D print this. So I'm going to say, all right, let's make this 0.25. And all I'm doing is pressing C for circles. So 0.25 here. Do it again here. And do it again here. All right, now I'll extrude. I'm going to click all 4 of these rings. Now I should be able to just say, you know what, make it 0.25 because that's how far up I moved it, right? But let's go ahead and turn this breadboard back on. And I'll do another little trick here. And I'm going to just go over here to where it says distance. So right in here. And instead of distance, I'm going to say to object. So I'll click to object. And really, I'm just going to click the bottom of that breadboard, or excuse me, the bottom of the Arduino Uno. As soon as I click it and hit OK, you can see now that it put those in for me. Okay, now a wise move to do here. We know we're 3D printing. Let me go ahead and turn the Uno back off. We know we're 3D printing, so anytime we have a joint like this where it's just straight up and down, it's kind of a weaker spot. So I'm going to use a fillet and just kind of fillet these bottom edges here. I don't know, we'll maybe try to that 0.25 might be a bit extreme. Maybe a 16th of an inch. And I'm going to do that to all of them. So I'll just hit plus and add these in. And really what that's going to do is beef that up, right? So 0.063 for all of them and hit OK. Now if I want, I could come in here and say, all right, let's turn that breadboard back on. And really what I'm going to do is repeat this process. So I'm going to project that geometry, and that's going to save me quite a bit of time. I didn't have to measure anything really. I had some certain specifics I put in, and everything worked fine. Okay, so one more quick time. Let's go ahead and do the mega together. So here's the mega. I'm just going to drag it over. And really, I'm just going to repeat that process. So I'm going to kind of move this to where I can work with it. Hit OK. And I think I'll just do a joint again. So I'll say, give me the center of that. Give me the center of this. And then we need to just do some turning, right? From here, I'll just go to sketch on the base. And I'll hit P, or I'll go to create, project, and project. And I'm just going to click the holes again. Might have to zoom in a little bit. Now the mega, because it's a bigger board, is going to have a few more spots to mount from. So it looks like here and here. And it looks like we've even got a couple more over this way. So I hit OK. Those are now projected. I'll go ahead and turn the board off. So turn the visibility off. And then I'll use my circles again and repeat the process.